I almost got sued and watched my entire $5,500 in hard-earned savings completely vanish, all because I blindly believed a sweet little internet lie called passive income. These online gurus love to preach that all you have to do is sign a lease, throw the place up on Airbnb, and sleep like a baby. But what they conveniently hide from you are the sleepless nights cleaning up trash, or the cold hard reality of finding a lawsuit taped to your front door. I'm solo, and I'm 30 years old. Like a lot of people stuck in the 9-to-5 grind, I was absolutely desperate for freedom. That's when I stumbled into the world of rental arbitrage. The theory sounds totally perfect. You rent an apartment for $880 a month, rent it out short-term for $66 to $132 a night, and just pocket the difference. From a behavioral economics standpoint, our brains are just wired to fall into the trap of a free lunch while completely ignoring risk management. Have you ever asked yourself, if making money is really that easy, why isn't everyone rich already? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I walked through that hell to actually build a cash-flowing machine out of a property I don't even own. The biggest question people always throw in my face is, Solo, how on earth do you get a landlord to agree to let you rent their apartment just so you can put it on Airbnb and make a profit? Most beginners fail miserably right at this step because they walk into the negotiation with the mindset of someone begging for a favor. But let's look at this through the lens of marketing psychology. Over the years of studying how to position brands for major real estate projects, I realized that you're never just selling empty walls. You are selling peace of mind. And that's exactly when I apply the classic formula, PAS. Problem, agitate, and solution. First, the problem. The ultimate nightmare for any landlord in the US isn't a vacant property. It's the tenant from hell. The ones who skip rent, trash the furniture they poured their heart and soul into, and then stubbornly refuse to leave, forcing the landlord into a grueling, months-long eviction process. Next, I agitate that pain. I gently remind them of how exhausting it is to manage a property themselves. Those 2 a.m. wake-up calls complaining about a burst pipe, or that gut-wrenching anxiety of having to chase down every single penny of rent on the first of the month. And finally, I pitch the solution. I don't position myself as some flaky renter. I put on the hat of a corporate partner, B2B corporate housing. I look them dead in the eye and say, what if I guarantee to pay 100% of the rent on time, fully automated, every single month? What if my professional cleaning crew maintains your property 2 to 3 times a week, keeping it in absolute showroom condition? Boom! The power dynamic completely shifts. You're no longer asking for a handout. You're offering them an escape route. So many people give up right at the step of picking up the phone to call a landlord, simply because they don't know how to structure a professional pitch. If you're stuck right now and want to dive deeper into the step-by-step details, from the exact negotiation script to close the deal, to how to stage a room so it completely wins over your guests, I've got a gift for you. I drop the completely free ebook, normally a $50 value, right down in the pinned comment. Go download it to arm yourself with the right mindset, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where I'll expose exactly how I price my rooms to absolutely crush the competition. The first month went by so smoothly that I honestly thought I had found the holy grail of wealth. Cash flow was pouring in steadily. But then week 6 hit, and it slapped me right in the face, dragging me back to a brutal reality. An account booked the place for a weekend getaway, messaging me super politely and clearly. We're a small family coming in from out of state, just looking for a cozy and quiet space. Sounds absolutely perfect, right? But at 2:15 a.m. that night, I was jolted awake by a call from the local police department. There was no small family. It was a group of teenagers who used that cover to throw an absolutely insane, out-of-control party. The next morning, I drove to the apartment with my heart pounding out of my chest. I opened the door, and what hit me was an absolute war zone. The flat-screen TV was cracked down the middle, the carpets were soaking wet, reeking of cheap liquor, and there was trash scattered everywhere. But that wasn't even the worst part. My phone rang, And on the other end was the voice of an absolutely furious landlord, threatening to tear up the lease and sue me on the spot for disturbing the neighborhood. And it didn't stop there. The domino effect started crashing down. The neighbors had reported the incident straight to the platform. Just a few hours later, I got an automated email notifying me that my Airbnb account had been emergency suspended for 33 days pending an investigation. That cash-flowing machine I was so incredibly proud of was instantly completely frozen, dropping straight back to a flat zero. That afternoon, standing in the middle of that damp, musty room, holding an estimated repair and replacement bill for over $2,200, and doing the mental math that I still had to cough up $880 in rent for the next month, knowing for a fact I wouldn't have a single guest, I felt like the sky was falling. That was the moment I bitterly realized a razor-sharp truth. Every single passive income system in the world is just a fragile illusion if you haven't built a crisis management process behind it. If you dump your very last pennies of savings into a business model without any sort of emergency fund, then I'm sorry, you're not an entrepreneur. You are just blindly gambling and holding on to a ticking time bomb. In the aftermath of that absolute nightmare, I was standing at a crossroads. I could either throw in the towel and accept defeat, or bite the bullet and place one last bet. I decided to completely drain my own personal emergency fund to cover every single penny of the damages for the landlord. With everything I had, I took full responsibility and practically begged them for just one last chance to prove I could actually manage the risk. When they finally gave me a very reluctant nod, I knew I couldn't afford to be naive anymore. I immediately went into overdrive, frantically patching up every single fatal flaw in this business machine. I realized that technology isn't just there to make us lazy and comfortable. It has to act as a bulletproof defensive shield. I immediately installed a minute noise sensor on the ceiling. It doesn't record any audio whatsoever, so it completely respects guest privacy. But it shoots an emergency alert straight to my phone if the decibel level inside the room stays over the limit for more than 11 minutes. Next, I completely ditched the traditional deadbolt and swapped it for a smart lock system. It automatically generates a unique, one-time PIN for every single booking, which completely wipes out the risk of anyone copying a physical key. And most importantly, I built this invisible filter using an automated AI messaging script. It requires strict ID verification up front, which allows me to screen and politely reject high-risk guests before they even get through the front door. Living through that dark night was my first real taste of just how ruthless the rental business can be. Have you ever had to deal with a customer or some nightmare tenant out of nowhere who just casually trampled all over the rules you worked so hard to set up? Drop your craziest, most unbelievable horror stories down in the comments below, just to remind me that I'm not completely alone in this wild game. After all that relentless tweaking and fine-tuning, my system finally runs as smoothly as a Swiss watch. Now, that very first apartment consistently brings in about $1,320 in pure net cash flow every single month. And that's after every single expense is paid. And you know what the best part is? It takes me less than 2 hours a week to manage the whole thing right from my phone. In fact, I'm feeling so confident now that I'm getting ready to sign the lease on my second property. This whole journey taught me a really expensive lesson. Passive income absolutely does not mean you just sit around doing nothing. You can't just buy financial freedom. You have to build it with your own sweat, through long, sleepless nights, and by paying the price up front in the very beginning. Rental arbitrage is an incredible financial lever, but burn this into your brain. Never confuse the convenience of technology with your own personal laziness. Automation only actually works after you've rolled up your sleeves and cleaned out those core foundational risks yourself. If you want passive cash flow, you have to take massive, decisive action first.